Egbuka, touchdown Tampa Bay. Mayfield looking for Egbuka.
Oh, what a
catch. He pulls it in.
Another 89 rookie report card coming at you. Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Emeka Egbuka. Steve, he went to The Ohio State University.
No way. Really?
Yeah, I know. Emeka Egbuka comes out, Steve, out of the gates blazing. We did an episode halfway through the year, or maybe 6 games into the season. This was the best rookie season in NFL history. He was on pace for that. He was on pace for over 1,400 yards. He was potentially going to break Puka Nakua's record. He finishes with 63 catches, 938 receiving yards. Falls short of 1,000. Him and T-Mac were kind of coming into that final game almost identical in terms of stats. He did have 6 touchdowns, all of them early in the season, because he finished the last 8 games without a touchdown pass. We'll get into the entire offense and maybe what happened in Tampa Bay, and maybe he was a product of that and what was going on. But overall thoughts on Emeka Egbuka to start this off in his rookie season, a pick that shocked a lot of people because Tampa already had a number of receivers. But at the same time, we saw some flashes of of a player that might be in this league playing at a high level for a long time.
Yeah, so before I answer on what I've seen from him, I had to go back and look and see what was my evaluation about Emeka Egbuka coming out of college, just to see if, where they stat. So I said, lacks top end speed, but doesn't affect his ability to change the game at all.
Mm-hmm. True.
Number 2 wide receiver, a valued pass catcher. Routes are good in the slot, mid-range and short, going deep on the outside is a strength of his. I believe his route tree outside is 1 through 5. Okay. His route tree in the slot is 1 through 9. And deep threat between the hashes. And the star that I thought that he did a remarkable job with is quarterback-friendly route runner.
That's a third down option, right? That's a guy and got to have it kind of moments. He's going to be where you need him to be.
Yes.
He finds soft spots of zones. He has the quick burst in and out of his breaks to create that separation at the last spot. I think you saw that, right, Steve, when this season
that was in college.
Trusted. Yeah.
Yes, that was what he brought into college. Emeka Egbuka brought from the Ohio State University is he's a quarterback-friendly route runner. That was who he was. That's who he is. You talk to several people down there, but the most important person had to be his wide receiver coach, who gave me tons of information.
Great dude.
About how selfless he was, how he was always prepared, how they would not have won the national championship the year before if Emeka Egbuka was not on the team, because his willingness to do whatever it takes to make sure that the offense is firing on all cylinders. And then going down to training camp, hearing all the different things from the players and from the coaches that this is he's a rookie, but he walks around here like a savvy vet. And I'm saying, okay, what do you mean walking around? Meaning he is seen, rarely heard. He goes about his business the right way. He's early in, late out. He is going through his routes. He walks through his routes. He's asking for, hey, coach, what do I need to do? So you don't generally get those from rookies, but the ones you do, they become special. Here's a special one that I have. First day to work. Luke Kuechly comes up to me in my locker. Hello, sir.
Was he wearing glasses?
He was wearing glasses. He was in his Clark Kent right there. Right?
There he was.
Wearing
Before
his glasses.
Changed over.
And asked me like 3 or 4 things. And I was not ready because I was just in my locker kind of straightening it up. And then he said, man, I just want to know, what does it take to survive and last in this league? That was my first interaction in my locker from a first-round draft pick of Luke Kuechly. And that is the impression that I have gotten from Emeka Egbuka of how he wants to come and be an impact player in his game, and that's why he is. Now, let's get down to it. Let's roll up our sleeves and let's get to work and where he does his work.
Okay.
All right, out wide, 366 times he's lined up. 63% of his work is done out wide. Only 37% of his stuff is done in the slot, 216, but 26 15-plus explosive plays in the pass game. 33 first downs. But, man, a deep threat, but a lot of it is in between the hashes. But 11 catches, 382 yards. Intermediate, 14 catches, 306. And short, 26 catches, 193. Man, and the craziest part about all this is he's had some really good games. And then some people say he fell off. If you ask fantasy folks will say, well, he fell off a little bit. Well, part of that has to do with this. This is not his fault. This is circumstances and how the season has developed. What happened to Mike Evans during the season? He missed his traditional several games with a hamstring, right?
Yeah, you always
what'd you say?
You always bring up his hamstrings.
You know why I bring it up? Because he still gets the damn 1,000 yards every time. That's why.
It's the first year ever, man. It's a bummer that it came to an end. But yeah,
it's not hate. It's more of just like saying, understand, if he was able to play 17 weeks, he'd probably be averaging 1,500 or 1,200 yards for the last 11 straight years. You know. So it's just, and I bring that up I keep bringing that up to make sure people understand and respect. Mike Evans is a beast, bro. He's a 100%. Flat-out beast, and he does a lot of his work and misses games.
Yeah, he's outstanding, man.
Man, so I throw that in.
You ever have certain players, Steve, you don't want to see retire?
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But Emeka Egbuka and then Chris Godwin not being 100% healthy, not being back, what's happened of why Emeka Egbuka has such an outstanding performance early on is because when Mike Evans is running out there, let's say against the Atlanta Falcons, Mike Evans is out there. Who's lined up against Mike Evans?
You're going to have your number one corner out there.
AJ
Terrell.
Right? If Chris Godwin's out there, where's he lining up? Who's lining up with him? The second best. Mm-hmm. Here's the benefit from Emeka Egbuka, and it's a benefit that has done great for him because he's getting hands-on experience. He's going against the second or third corner. Mm-hmm. That second, or let's say the third or fourth corner, because Chris Godwin's in there, that third or fourth corner is dog doo-doo. And Emeka Egbuka is just going to work you. And that's exactly what's happened. You got maybe a veteran who plays primarily special teams. He ain't used to getting routed up and being on this route train that Emeka Egbuka is given to him. Mm-hmm. He's not on AJ Terrell. But then when you have the absence of Mike Evans, guess what they do? Hey, we're not going to let the young kid keep beating us because this young kid is making plays. He's making explosive plays. He's making first downs. They're throwing him screen passes. They're doing all of these things to get him the ball, and he's flourishing. So that's one of the things that I think people are missing of why he kind of tapered near the end. He tapered because a lot of that had to do with teams started shifting their attention, especially when Mike Evans was out. And then when Mike Evans was out, Chris Godwin was back. And you forgot McMillan, he wasn't in because he had that neck injury. So teams were like, all right, we got number one corner goes with Chris Godwin. The top tiered are really good number two corner is now going against. And if that corner can't really play, we'll throw a little coverage over there as well to neutralize. There's nothing more than having a peace of mind when you're traveling or at home or sleep and snuggling in your bed. But listen, Simply Safe has all the capability, AI-powered cameras. But when we talk about protection, most of the time, these security companies only help you after someone's broken in, but not Simply Safe. they can help prevent and also deter intruders from coming in. Hey, just take it from me. I travel a lot. Simply Safe keeps me monitored. I know exactly what's going on, and the notifications pop up instantly. Simply Safe is my go-to security system when I'm traveling on for work. So why wait? Protect your home today and enjoy 50% off a new Simply Safe system with professional monitoring at simplysafe.com/89show. That's simplysafe.com/89show. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
I think there's a part too, Steve, in play here. Bucky Irvin was out for a long stretch.
Couldn't run the football.
So then teams are going, well, they're not going to run the football the way they run the football. And man, if you ask around the league about Bucky Irvin and when he's full tilt and what type of running back he is very, very well respected around the league. Then there's the other part, and when I asked kind of during this second half funk, and it wasn't for this episode, but it was essentially for the Bucs and what was happening to them the second half of the year, Baker Mayfield played a part in this, whether he was hurt or not, or how the shoulder was. I'm not entirely sure because Baker's going to play through everything. But there was an issue when I talked to people around the league. It was in the early part of the season, Steve, he was very decisive with the football. Decided where he wanted to go very quickly, got the ball out of his hands quickly. It was on time, and if it wasn't, he scrambled really, really well. And actually, Emeka Egbuka was really, really good with him on this off-structured plays.
Earlier in the year, Baker Mayfield's name was being thrown around as MVP candidate. So I'm just throwing a little bit of extra sauce on there to say you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And, and sometimes people don't like to acknowledge that someone's ability to do something, especially for wide receivers, is predicated on the guy who's pulling the trigger. Will he actually pull it or not?
Exactly.
Is it accurate?
That's what shifted. Like when I talk to these other teams, they're like, well, he doesn't seem as decisive second half of the year. No. His deep ball doesn't seem the same second half of the year. And receivers were in and out even early in the year, and he was playing well, even though they were having all these guys just kind of coming and going. And I'm not putting blame on Baker, but there's a whole part of the offense. And really, I wanted to maybe clarify that it wasn't like Emeka Egbuka took a giant step back the back half of the year. The offense took a giant step back the second half of the year, and he's part of the offense. That's essentially it.
He's part of that offense, as we know. And, I think we've maybe, we're all assuming, maybe we've seen the last year we're ever going to see Mike Evans, play in a Tampa Bay uniform. Mm-hmm. But you got to say Emeka Egbuka, for some people they're surprised. Emeka Egbuka has become that guy that they can rely on. And if there's a passing of the torch, man, it looks pretty bright.
It does. And you're also curious what Chris Godwin's going to be like. It seemed like he never was fully back to being himself, which you know what kind of fans we are of Chris Godwin if you've watched this show. I wanted to ask you about drops. There were 9 drops, to my understanding, due to Pro Football Reference.
Some have 9, some have 8.
Yeah, the guys ahead of him, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jerry Jeudy, Brian Thomas were the ones that finished with 10. He finished with 9. I just had to throw... Was that something coming into the league? I know you had conversations with Brian Hartline. I did as well. If there were some drop things. I know he had the one against the Saints, which would have won them the game. For the touchdown. What was your thought on that? Is that being over exaggerated? Is that
I think it's over exaggerated just because he's had such a really good career so early on. Okay. And we talked about it. Sometimes we're always looking for someone's deficiency instead of just, hey, this is what they do. Mm-hmm. Right? And yes, he's had some drops, but you also look at some of the catches he's had, some of the hits he's taken and held on to the football. So there is a little bit of give and take, and understand that there's sometimes a reason why. Mm-hmm. And I don't really look at his drops as a huge concern for me wise, because just watching his body of work and how he's doing it as a rookie, I just see so much tremendous upside that what's transpired for this season is gone. But I expect for him to keep going. And, if it becomes where he's now averaging 8 or 9 drops every year.
What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the US, download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm.
If it becomes where he's now averaging 8 or 9 drops every year, well, then yes. But I just don't see him having those drops.
Okay, that's what I was curious about. I mean, I think when you got hands like this, it's...
Man, great catch. Coordination, being able to keep his eyes on the football, right? Creating free access, great releases. Man, goes up in high points of football, goes up in traffic, does a lot of great things that you expect a veteran to be doing.
Yeah, I don't think everybody finds the end zone on that play, Steve. Where you know how he catches it in stride, the way his feet are when he goes up in the air?
Look at that, just toot.
Yeah.
Right? And the corner, that's 21. I think Alfred is who has some big plays, and that wasn't their second best corner that was lined up against them. Emeka Egbuka. But they do a really good job getting them the football down the field. I tell you, the play though that really stands out to me that I'm just like, wow. Man, has to be that one-handed catch against Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner, this is pressed up man, one-on-one. Releases, uses his hands, yatao.
Catch the nose of the ball?
No, the tip.
Man.
Wow. Outside release out.
Is he pretty, what do you think of him in terms of physicality? Because this is a pretty good example of that.
His physicality is seeing you. You're seeing it right here. You know, I joke with Sauce, and I said it to him in person. Sauce ain't thick enough in the caboose to be over there trying to big boy anybody, right? And Emeka Egbuka, that boy bringing up the rear.
Yeah,
Paul. And so when you have a guy who's not as physical, who's more physical about grabbing and less physical about
facts,
dropping his weight and is being stern, and you're going against a guy who's balanced and powerful.
Great word in that. Yeah.
You're going to lose every time. Right? And what I love is they do a lot of different things. Put him in, look at that. Right there. He sees the opening. He knows exactly what his role is. That has to do with his college tape as well. He knows where and why and how he needs to be somewhere. And that's extremely important. Sometimes we focus on coaching up what the play is supposed to look like. But Emeka Egbuka understands why he's doing it. And when you have a guy who knows exactly why he's doing it, now you get to start in coaching him at a whole nother level to discuss and talk about. It is such a advanced conversation than trying to help a young kid who sometimes, and I've seen this with my own eyes. Some guys at some colleges are not taught how to read coverages, who don't have the ability to read coverages. Because that either they haven't mastered that craft or they haven't been required to know how to read coverages. Not saying that is his case. I'm just saying he understands how to read coverages. He understands how to run zone-friendly routes versus man routes, the angles in which he needs to continue and maintain. He does that.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
I'll say this before we give out our grades. Everything that you mentioned about how prepared he was coming into his rookie year, and if you ask anybody in that building about how he just kind of followed Mike Evans or Chris Godwin about how to be a pro, very similar to your Luke Kuechly conversation. What I'm fascinated about, Steve, and you've always told me this specifically with receivers, that first off season after your rookie year is when you can make a lot of improvements after everything you learned. And if he grasps concepts and grasps knowledge about those around him so well, I'm excited to see what he does this first offseason, because he's going to have a pretty good game plan about how he wants to improve and get better for his sophomore year. And that's where I think he could be even better, because he had a jump on his rookie year. He's going to have a jump on his second year. What do you think about in terms of grades here for Emeka Egbuka?
I got all A's going down the board.
Oh, down the board.
All aboard. Just, he's a rookie. Everything you see that he does it excellent. He's just got here. He still got milk coming out his ears.
Milk out of his ears?
Yeah, you know what? That's the phrase we use, is just young.
Oh, okay.
And he's still doing it. And I just sitting here, and I'm looking at his tape, and I'm looking for things to be negative about. One, because especially the last game of the season, we needed, Panthers going against the Buccaneers to get into the playoffs. And the first thought I had is they better keep their eyes on Emeka Egbuka, because he can spring you loose and do some things that you just weren't expecting. Mm-hmm. So for me, I got A's all down the board, because you already know that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, at least as far as in this position, right? And they are, but I'm just talking about this position specifically. Mm-hmm. Man, they're in great hands. They are in great hands, and no sense for me to sit here and try to nitpick them, because he's playing, he's balling.
Yeah. All right, my last comment is this. I always ask GMs and assistant GMs and head of pro personnel around the league about these guys. So I text them, all right, I got some players I want to ask you about. Response, all right, who do you got? Emeka Egbuka, thoughts. Response was, you know how I feel about Emeka Egbuka, who else you got? That was essentially just like, you know that this guy can play. Who else do you want me to talk about? And it's going to be fun next year for him with the way he's wired.